Hello, everybody. I am Kathy Escobar, and I'm with the Refuge, a Christian Community and Mission Center in Broomfield. And we are all in the thick of a radical shift in all of our lives with the very first week of COVID-19 changing everything for us. And so today I am with my friends Joanna Rainey and Phyllis Matthis, who are connected to the Refuge community, and we are getting ready to start a new series of video conversations and reflection questions really centered on supporting solid and supportive and caring and integrated little tips to help us with our mental health during this time. It's a really tricky one ahead, and we want to do the best that we can to support each other and have some of the good stuff that we need to carry on. So I'm going to toss it over to Jo, and she'll tell us a little bit more about what's coming.
Yeah, so basically we just wanted to have tips for the long haul of how to sustain our mental health. There's obviously like physical needs that we all have, and as things get tougher with people losing jobs and maybe not having our preferred resources available, there's also the big challenge of mental health. And so we just wanted to have a resource that was consistent. So every Monday we're gonna post something that you can talk about with friends, loved ones, or have a video chat about, but just practical resources to help us stay above water and maybe a little bit better than that during this long haul thing. So Phyllis, we would love to hear what you have to share today.
Well, thanks. It's good to be with everybody, and it is important to try to figure out how we're going to survive this business without losing our minds. And so as I've been thinking about what we should do at the beginning, I thought it would be a good idea just to kind of put a frame on it. As you know, human beings make meaning out of every little thing that happens in their lives. And how we make meaning kind of depends on the kind of filters we use and the kind of frames that we have in our minds. And we will keep our frames and just shove circumstances through them. But if we can stop and think about how am I looking at this? What is my perspective? What are some alternate ways that I can frame this issue so that I maybe can have a broader response, a healthier response. So I just want to make a few comments about that. First of all, I just want to acknowledge that we are just in the beginning of this. We're right at the beginning, and no one knows how to do it. There might be a few people who've been through long-term stuff like this, but for the most part, most of us have never really been through something like this before. So there's nobody that's been there that's the authority on surviving a pandemic when everybody's on lockdown. So that's kind of crazy. It feels a little out of control, but the good news is that we can figure it out. You know, the good news is that we're not probably doing something wrong, or whatever we're doing counts. So give yourself a break. There's no way to be failing at this point. We're all trying to get up to speed. And we are right at the beginning. So we will figure this out as we go, and we'll settle in. The second thing I want to mention is the idea of adjustment. Anytime something new comes into our lives, it takes us a while to adjust and to figure out what our new normal is. And so the adjustment period can look all kinds of crazy. It can look all kinds of freaked out, or obsessive, or passive, or in denial, or we just throw things at it and figure things out as we go. So that takes us a little while. So if you're feeling like you don't know how to settle down, that you don't know how this is going to look, just realize you're adjusting, and your mind and your body and your routine will compose itself And it'll just take a couple of weeks maybe to figure that out. And I'm talking about beyond the common sense things that you know to do. So all of that, you know, personal hygiene stuff, you know, washing your hands, don't touch your face, stay away from people. We should all be pretty well versed on that by now. But it's also important to practice good mental hygiene. And good mental hygiene hardly gets a lot of mention, but especially in periods of uncertainty and long periods of not knowing stuff, our brains can just go nuts because we're not used to disciplining them, and we're not used to getting them to serve us instead of drive us. So good mental hygiene means that we, first of all, we have to give your mental well-being a high priority. There are lots of people who are suffering, and suffering for real right now. And if you are one of them, then you also need to be getting as grounded as you can be, doing all the breathing things, solving the problems you can solve, and trying to stay as calm as you can stay. If you're not actively suffering, like probably most of us in this, in the reach of this video, just realize that there are two kinds of suffering. There's the actual suffering, and then there's the suffering that we put on top of that because we're afraid of the suffering, or we don't know what we're doing. And that's where the bad mental health hygiene comes into play. So trying to practice getting to a calm place, breathing and grounding, and staying in the present, staying out of the future and staying out of the past, hauling yourself up short every time you get a thought that starts with the words, what if, what if? Problem solving can start with that, but we can gallop down roads that we can't get back from, and it causes a lot of distress, and we're causing a lot of chemicals to be released in our bodies that are hard. So staying calm and cultivating well-being is really important. So disciplining your mind and staying connected to other people, and realizing what real suffering is, and taking stock of what's happening in your life right now. Am I actually suffering in this moment? And for the most of us, it will be no, unless we're suffering from what's happening up in our head. So perspective around what is suffering, remembering that there are people in the world who are legitimately suffering, and sending all of your anxiety, turning that into care and loving kindness, and pouring it out to those who really are suffering will actually help you calm down. Letting yourself be distracted, because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how long we're going to be here. We don't know much of anything. So it's okay to take care of your basic needs, do your routines, and the rest of the time, just do what you want to do. It's okay to distract yourself with a book, with a puzzle, with a walk, all of those things. And there are those of us listening too, I think, that are that we carry we carry the intensity and the worry for all of the people that are suffering. And it's okay to let that go. Your suffering for them is not going to help them very much. So you can practice loving kindness meditation. You can send your love and care out in the world, and then you can take care of yourself. So I'm just kind of spitballing here, and and I think that's about all I want to share for today, unless Kathy or Joe, you have something to ask or share.
No, I think that's really helpful, Phyllis. Thank you so much. Yeah, good things to think about. And we're going to post some questions down below the video on YouTube, and then probably along with the links as well, just of things to to think through about kind of maybe the stories we're constructing, and how to ground ourselves during this long haul season that we're entering. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, we are so grateful to have you, your wisdom. And we've got to say at the beginning that Phyllis Matthis is a therapist and life coach and founder of School of Life, which happens at the Refuge on Sunday mornings, basically in the school year season, one Saturday morning a month. But the part that really struck me as we close is just we're all intersecting with this in different ways. So the range of suffering, the range of reality, the range of what this is sort of tapping into for us is just different for all of us. And so our hope is you take the things that Phyllis shared today and think about some of the questions, ponder them in your own heart, share them with other people, and then come back next Monday for our next feature. We'll be with another therapist / life coach, a voice that will help us keep making it through this really hard thing that's unknown in so many ways. But we do know this, that we can do this together and that we need each other to do it. So glad you're here. Thanks again, Phyllis.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
Good luck, everybody.